We have some breaking news this evening. Lawyers for Donald Trump have filed an emergency motion in the D.C. Circuit Court to appeal a gag order placed on him by Judge Tanya Chutkan in the federal case surrounding Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Trump's lawyers write President Trump's uniquely powerful voice has been a fixture of American political discourse for 8 years and central to the American fabric for decades. The prosecution's claim that Trump's core political speech suddenly poses a threat to the administration of justice is baseless. Trump's lawyers further make it clear that they want to take this issue all the way to the highest court in the land. If the court denies this motion, President Trump requests that the court extend its administrative stay for 7 days to allow him to seek relief from the U.S. Supreme Court. Joining me now is Joyce Vance, former district attorney for the Northern District of Alabama. Joyce, thank you for being here as we parse this breaking news here. First of all, on its face, it doesn't seem that surprising that Trump is appealing anything, because that seems central to his defense strategy. But what do you make of the idea that he wants to take this to the Supreme Court and in relatively short order?
So I think that's not surprising at all. This is a notice of appeal combined with a request first for a quick administrative stay of the gag order, so he can go back, presumably, to talking about witnesses and others involved in the case. And then he asks for a full stay pending appeal. So it's a little bit of complicated legal maneuvering. Ultimately, it could go up to the Supreme Court if, as I think most people expect, this appeal will be not particularly productive for Trump in the Court of Appeals.
Just to sort of bring in some other data points on that, I mean, Trump has some interesting bedfellows here in his fight against this gag order. The ACLU is one of them. They believe this is an infringement on his First Amendment rights. Do you think there's any? You sound pretty confident that the Supreme Court is not going to find for Trump on this. But is there any merit to the appeals on its face?
So there's a difference between motions that ultimately may not help a defendant and motions that are frivolous. And this one isn't frivolous. They'll be making an argument about a high level of scrutiny for gag orders involving political figures. And as Trump's lawyers point out in this brief that they've submitted tonight, a court has never imposed a gag order on a leading presidential candidate. Of course, that's because no leading presidential candidate has ever been under indictment while they've been running before. But there are some legitimate legal issues that the court can consider here.
Joyce, I got to ask you, because there's a lot happening in the criminal court system as it pertains to Donald Trump. And Jack Smith's office filed a motion this morning urging Judge Cannon, who is, of course, the federal judge overseeing the Mar-a-Lago case down in Florida, urging her not to be manipulated by Trump's defense team, which is at once asking to push off the Washington, D.C. case, but also saying a packed calendar prevents them from being part of the Florida case on the timetable thus established. They're basically trying to have their cake and eat it, too. And Jack Smith's office seems to have taken notice of that and is urging Judge Cannon to effectively ignore the entreaties being made by Trump's defense team. I found it interesting that they so directly and personally are asking the judge not to be literally manipulated in an official court filing. Did that seem unusual to you?
I think it's a reflection of where they are in this case. Judge Cannon was always going to be a tough judge for them. They knew that because of the proceedings in front of her previous to this criminal case, where she had gone off on sort of a crazy civil theory before the 11th Circuit reined her in. But this direct use of the language, "don't let them manipulate you," I think suggests that they're frustrated with her rulings. She's clearly been not measured and not balanced in deciding issues that involve Trump's ability to delay the case. And so they're pointing out that he's trying to delay all cases using this same argument, playing one judge off the other. That's in a sharp contrast to this motion that we see regarding the gag order tonight, where they're asking for speed, almost unheard of speed, telling the Court of Appeals that they want a decision just in shortly over a week, which would barely provide sufficient time for briefing on this gag order request. So a very interesting discrepancy between trying to delay the trial while preserving Trump's rights to go out in public and say whatever he'd like to about witnesses and court personnel.
Yeah, interesting tactic that maybe gives rise to an incoherent strategy more broadly. But Joyce, I have to ask, just from a Lawyerly perspective, is it a bad move to get so personal with a judge? Does that help Jack Smith's case, or does it hurt it to suggest, however much of it is subtext, that Judge Cannon has been manipulated by Trump in his defense?
So, look, I think it suggests that they think they have nothing left to lose with this judge. They tried early on to play nice, to be respectful, to move forward in an even-handed fashion. That has not worked for the prosecution. They may now be regretting, they may have a little bit of buyer's remorse over trying to not posture the case early on so that they could request a recusal. If they do that now, they run a great risk of slowing down the case themselves by doing that. So they'll do their best to try to encourage the judge to not give in to these sort of manipulative efforts by Trump's lawyers. And this is familiar territory for federal prosecutors when you have a defendant who's facing trial or proceedings in more than one jurisdiction. It's not unheard of for them to try to play off one judge against the other and get cascading delays. So what the special counsel's office is doing here is just a very straightforward heads up to the judge saying, don't be taken in by this. We're letting you know what's going on in all of the cases. And perhaps ultimately where this will be headed is that the judges will all put their heads together and confer on scheduling. I suspect that's what all of the prosecutors would like to see happen.
Yes, and all the judges have cell phones, presumably. They can talk to each other. They don't need to go through Trump's defense. Joyce Vance, thank you for your time and thoughts. Super helpful tonight as we try and understand all of this. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Alex.